Two in one day. What the heck is up? I was gonna do a live stream on YouTube, but I clicked the stream and discovered that YouTube has changed its streaming guidelines, and you can only stream now if you have 1,000 subscribers. So that annoys me because I've streamed in the past. So what I want to talk about now is Father James Martin. So we all know Father Rainbow Stole. Sorry, I had to turn my volume off so my notifications wouldn't be heard. We all know Father Rainbow Stole, James Martin, who is a big proponent of the LGBTQ, etc. alphabet soup. Well, recently he tweeted out about how women should be priests. And hang on one second, I'm going to pull the tweet up. I meant to pull it up already, and I didn't because I'm ill-prepared. I'm not ill-prepared to talk about it, I'm just ill-prepared to reference at the moment because I'm nursing. So I'm like, I've got the camera, and then my computer is on my lap, and there's a baby on my lap, and so I'm typing with one hand. Okay, so let me pull up his tweet really quick. James Martin, SJ. So his oh good, and he's also on his Twitter thread right now. We'll talk about this too. He's promoting an article by a Catholic deacon with a transgender child. So this tweet that he put out the other day was, oh Cecilia, come on, was about women in the priesthood, and I gotta find it here. He tweeted out, "It is stupefying to me that women cannot preach at Mass. The faithful during Mass, as well as the presiders, are missing out on the wisdom, experience, and inspired reflections of half of its members. Saint Mary Magdalene, pray for us." He invoked the name of Saint Mary Magdalene on her feast day to say that women should be priests. Can we just take a moment here? Swallow, just like breathe in deep and let it out so you don't say bad words. I am so angry about this. He goes on to tweet, "Just think, women with PhDs in theology, Catholic sisters with decades of experience, women spiritual directors, authors, mothers, physicians, attorneys, teachers, grandmothers, women who work with the poor and marginalized, and on and on. The church needs their voices at Mass." I want you to think about this a little bit. I'm going to download this off of Facebook later too, just FYI, and put it on my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, youtube.com/radicalmothering. Think about this a little bit. What he's saying here is that there have not been women contributing in church history. That's what he's saying here right now. He's saying that our female church doctors, so St. Hildegard of Bingen, St. Catherine of Siena, St. Theresa of Avila, who else? St. Therese of Lisieux. He's saying that these women haven't impacted church history because they weren't allowed to speak from the pulpit. That's what he's saying here. He's saying that their voices have counted for nothing. That's what he's saying. I want you to consider that my husband, a layman, isn't allowed to speak from the pulpit, isn't allowed to deliver the homily. Amber is saying no, just at Mass. He's very specific about them participating at Mass. The participation in the Mass isn't for women, and that's ordained by Jesus himself. I mean, that's just the way that it is. The participation at Mass as a server is for boys. It is training ground for priesthood, which only boys are capable of growing into men to become priests. It's training ground for the priesthood. Literally every leadership component in that capacity, serving in the sanctuary of the church, is training ground for the priesthood for boys. It's not for girls. As far as extraordinary ministers, the church says we can use them. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. The lady who distributes the Eucharist are not consecrated. Their hands are not consecrated for the Eucharist. So he says, it's stupefying to me that women cannot preach at Mass. I read that. I read it out loud. Preach at Mass. He didn't say participate. Preach at Mass. Preaching at Mass is the homily. That's the preaching component of the Mass. That's the teaching component of the Mass after the Gospel is read. That is reserved for, hang on one second, let me read you. I'm not getting into if they should or shouldn't. I'm just saying that he is specifically saying they need their voices heard at Mass. I'm not saying they don't contribute to the church as a whole. They don't need their voice heard at Mass. Women do not need their voices heard at Mass. That is not the space for women's voices and leadership in the church. Thereby, he is discrediting all of church history of women's contributions to the church. If women are only able to contribute via speaking at Mass, if we're missing out otherwise, that's what he's saying. We're missing out on all of these voices of women because they can't speak in the homily. Because women can't be priests. Because women can't be deacons. That's crap. It's misogyny, and it's not accurate. It completely erases our church history of all of our amazing women, all of our amazing saints who have taught and who have, I'm all for tradition, I get it. We have sacred female and sacred male only roles in my spiritual path also. I also get the backlash. Okay, good. Then I'm glad that we're on the same page as far as that, because like I really am. And I know that you practice a different, sorry, I'm going to readjust here. I know you practice different faith than I, but this is really important to note that he is consistently saying things that are contrary to church teaching. There won't ever be, unless you go to okay, you guys, go watch your little Android show. Come on. I just set her down because she's happy, all right? Women participating at Mass is not something that is reasonable. It was never instituted by Jesus. If we want to talk about women teaching, that's fine. Women can teach, just not in the Mass. It's not called for. It's not called for. It's never been instituted. It wasn't instituted by Jesus. Therefore, it's not something that we're going to do. Let me read here, get caught up. Well, and that's just the thing. If you're Catholic, be Catholic. The thing is James Martin is espousing heresy, essentially. He just at every turn, really. If it's espousing the LGBTQ agenda and claiming that it's okay for gay people to be married. And, next he's going to be espousing abortion. Gabriel, get that off of your foot. Next he's going to be espousing abortion. And, where's he going to stop? Where's he going to say, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be Catholic anymore? Because really that's what he's telling everybody. And he's giving a bad impression to the left as to what a Catholic is. And he's giving, Gabriel, put it down. He's giving room for Catholics who are not faithful Catholics to say, oh yeah, see, I'm Catholic, and this is what Catholicism really is all about. But it's not what Catholicism really is all about. These are things that Jesus did not institute. And because Jesus instituted the priesthood the way the priesthood is, and because Jesus chose who was going to teach in the capacity of the priesthood, that's what we go with. And for James Martin to come out and say, well, women's voices need to be heard at the Mass. Otherwise, we're not hearing the voices of all of these women. You know, that's crap. And it erases the entire women's history in the church. Every female saint, every female doctor of the church. It erases Mary Magdalene herself. The apostle to the apostles. It erases her contribution to the church. And yet he invokes her. Why does he invoke her? He invokes her because he's trying to conjure the idea of, you know, the errant idea that Mary Magdalene was a prostituted. I mean, it's just horrible. I hate the ideas that people have put in place with regard to Mary Magdalene. So he's trying to Aaron says, I'm always wondering where the new low will come with this idiot heretic, and when will someone step in and slap him down? I've been waiting. Like, every time he tweets some kind of absurdity, I'm just like, seriously? How are you still Catholic? How are you still Catholic and preaching these things that are completely contrary to Catholic teaching? It's really troubling. It's leading a lot of people the wrong direction. And it's putting this idea out there that those of us who are faithful Catholics are hateful somehow. It's really frustrating. He's painting this picture that if you are a Catholic who's not part of this inclusive left, then you're not actually a Catholic. He's trying, it's the painting good as bad and bad as good. You know, he's trying to make it appear as though faithful Catholics are actually the bad guys. That we're not the ones who are actually practicing Catholicism. Because he invokes the names. I invoke the name of, I bless you, pray for us, Mary Magdalene, that we may be delivered of these horribly rigid traditional Catholics who practice the faith and, you know, don't compromise it. It's okay, baby. You know, that's really what the end game is. He's really trying to turn the tide as to what people think a Catholic is supposed to be. And an off-topic question from Aaron. How is Henri praying? Always for you guys. Off-topic. Sorry, just asking. No, don't be sorry. Thank you for asking. He's doing all right. He was pretty lethargic yesterday still and slept off most of the day. I think he came down with something at the same time as this latest seizure, and so that I think that's what actually triggered the seizure, was the fact that he was fighting off something viral. But he seems to be doing better today. They're back to fighting, so that's basically the answer. We're still kind of just up in the air trying to figure stuff out with him. So, but I appreciate the prayers. So pay attention when it comes to Father Martin. Father Martin is not preaching Catholic teaching. He's not being faithful to the magisterium. He is not being faithful to what the Catholic Church is and has always been. Okay. And it's really frustrating to sit and watch because we know we're doing. No, she's grumpy. I don't want you to have her right now. Because we know what Catholic teaching is on these matters, and he's just completely running amok about it. And he has such a platform, and he has that platform because of the left, really, because they're like, oh look, our token leftist Catholic. And it's like, dude, just come out as gay and get out of the priesthood if you want to preach like this. Just like, you don't belong in the priesthood, very obviously. And it does baffle me how his bishop or his archbishop or even the Pope himself, I mean, it's baffling, but it's also not baffling. He's an SJ. Our Pope is an SJ. And I don't love our Pope. I mean, I pray for our Pope, and he is our Pope. I'm not a seed. And I fully hold that, we're not being led astray by the Pope. because God's not going to allow that. But we do have some false teachers around, and he isn't clamping down on those false teachers, and that's really disturbing and causes a lot of stress for a lot of Catholics. Can you go and sit down, please? Thank you. So that's where we're at. He's a misogynist, and it's stressful, and our amazing women saints are probably in heaven just rolling their eyes like, are you kidding me right now? Like, are you really serious? St. Catherine of Sienna, she's probably like, bro, we're gonna have a talk when you get here, if you get here. Oh my goodness. So that's what I wanted to say. He's a misogynist. He's erasing the contributions of women in Catholicism, and we shouldn't be tolerating it. We should call him out on every turn. If you're on Twitter, that's where he's most active. I mean, he's active on Facebook too. He posts the same thing that he tweeted, he posted on Facebook. So if you get a second, if you're not on Twitter, and you go over to his Facebook page and say, listen, you are being really rude. You are erasing history. You are even erasing the very saint whose name you invoked in prayer. So stop it. I wonder how many of us it's going to take to point out, hey, this guy is preaching heresy, for somebody to do something about it. See, she's mad too. Are you mad too? Are you mad too, Cecilia? I know, me too. I'm super mad. What else do you have to say about it? Valid points. Valid points. I think I agree with you. I'll have to think about it a little longer, though. Are you distracted by your brother now? So just keep plugging away. Keep calling out misogyny where it actually is, like among gay men and among priests and among gay priests. Because we need to call it out. That's what the real misogyny is that we're fighting, honestly. And I'm not going to tolerate it. So, are you? I'll talk to you guys. Again, I'm going to put this, I think I'll pull it off of here and make some edits and upload it onto YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube yet, please do. I could really use the help. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 before school starts. So, in like a month. I'm at almost 700 now, so we're getting there. But if you go to youtube.com/radicalmothering and hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell, I would really appreciate it. Same with Instagram. Go over there, and I'm at Radical Mothering on Instagram. Subscribe or follow on Instagram, and I also have a Facebook page for Radical Mothering here too. So go ahead and find that and click the like button. I will talk to you guys later. Go read those tweets. They're really upsetting. And say something, because he needs to know. And he's got to know, I mean, by now. But he's got such a fan base in the LGBT that, you know. You want to babble some more for Miranda? Is that it? Is that all? Yeah? Okay. Can you say goodbye, Cecilia? Okay, bye-bye.